We weren't perfect, Claire and I. But who is? We fought about money, her mother's passive aggression, whether it was time for kids. But I believed in us. I believed in the bones of our marriage. We built our house from scratch, chose every tile together, argued over the sofa, painted the walls while blasting old songs from her college playlist. That house wasn't just real estate. It was our story written in hardwood and stone. That morning, I was rushing out the door, late for work. Claire handed me a piece of toast and said, "Don't skip breakfast again." She smiled soft and familiar. I kissed her cheek, said, "Love you. I'll be back by 6." She smiled again. By 6:05, I was standing in the doorway of an empty house. The couch? Gone. The paintings we'd chosen on our honeymoon? Gone. Our wedding photo, once hanging above the stairs, vanished. The only things left were the things she hated. My old recliner, the toolbox, and that ridiculous mug that said, "World's okayest husband." At first, I thought we were robbed. But there was no mess. No broken glass. Just absence. Surgical. Clean. Deliberate. Claire was gone. So was everything she could take. Even the deed to the house. I called her. Straight to voicemail. I drove to her sister's place. No answer. I called her parents. They acted surprised and said they hadn't heard from her in weeks. That was a lie. Claire called her mom every day. The police came, but they couldn't help. "Sir, do you believe your wife's life is in danger?" the officer asked kindly. I stared at him. She's not in danger. She's the one who did this. I sat in the empty living room that night, drinking beer number 4, then 5. The silence echoed in my chest like a punishment. I felt stupid, blind, humiliated, but not broken, not yet. Then I found the letter. It was hidden in the nightstand, the one drawer she never touched. Inside was a white envelope. Just my name. Noah, in her sharp, decisive handwriting. Inside, just a few lines. "I know you're confused. I know you'll hate me. Maybe one day you'll understand. I'm not coming back. You'll get a call from my lawyer soon. Don't fight it. You'll just lose more than you already have. Please don't look for me. Claire." No explanation. No apology. Just abandonment and a warning. The call came 3 days later. Her lawyer was slick, smug, and clearly paid well. He said Claire had filed for divorce, had taken steps to transfer the house and joint savings. According to him, I'd already signed over the property. My signature was on the quitclaim deed. He said this was all legally filed. My own lawyer, Andrea, recommended by my friend Marcus, looked over the papers. "They're clean," she said. "Or they appear to be. If she forged your signature, she was good at it." I lost everything. The house, the savings, even the car. Apparently, it had been purchased under her business account. All that remained to my name were my tools, some clothes, and an old truck my dad left me before he passed. Claire hadn't just left me. She'd erased me. I moved into Marcus's spare room, a dusty loft above his garage that smelled like paint and regret. I went through the motions at work. Ate takeout in silence. Slept in jeans some nights. I stopped answering calls. I couldn't even cry. It was like I'd been emptied out and filled with fog. Marcus tried to help. "She's a monster, man. Let it go," he said one night, pushing a beer into my hand. "You don't lose a woman like that. You survive her." But I wasn't mourning just Claire. I was mourning the version of me that believed in her. Then, a text came. Unknown number. "You should check the courthouse records." I ignored it. Thought it was spam. A week later, another came. Unknown number. "She's not who you think she is. Look deeper." I couldn't ignore that. The next day, I drove to the courthouse and requested all public documents related to Claire Reed. Marriage license, mortgage agreements, business filings, property deeds. And there it was, a quitclaim deed, transferring full ownership of the house to Claire, dated 2 months before she left. Signed by me. It wasn't my signature. Something changed in me that day. The sadness burned away. What remained was fire. She didn't just leave. She robbed me. And if she thought I'd just roll over and disappear, then she never really knew me at all. I used to believe that the truth always came out eventually, that it had a way of clawing its way through lies like weeds breaking through concrete. But Claire had built her lies like a fortress, and I was only just learning where the walls began. The forged quitclaim deed was the first crack. I stared at it in the fluorescent-lit records room of the courthouse, heart hammering. The signature wasn't mine. It looked almost perfect. Slanted the same way, the same looping art and read. But I knew my own hand. and I knew I never signed away the home we built together. I took a photo of the document with my phone and drove straight to Andrea. She scanned the image, her jaw tightening. If this is forged, you've got something. It's not easy to prove, but it's not impossible. What do we do? I asked. We dig. The next week was a blur of legal forms, meetings, and whispered conversations in parking lots. Andrea brought in a handwriting analyst. I filed a formal fraud complaint with the county. But Claire had done her homework. Every document looked legitimate. She'd even gone to a notary, one who swore they watched me sign in person. But that's a lie, I told Andrea. Then we prove it's a lie, she said. And that's when the messages started again. Unknown number. You're not the only one she's done this to. At first, I thought it was someone messing with me. Then came a second text. Unknown number. Check under her old business name, Marlowe Interiors. Claire had never mentioned the name to me. She ran her own consulting firm under Claire Reed Design. But when I searched public business registries, there it was. Marlowe Interiors. Registered under Claire Marlowe, her maiden name. The address? A small office space in Portland she rented before we married. Status: dissolved 2 years ago. I went deeper. I started calling people who had once worked with her. Interior designers. Contractors. A woman named Evelyn who said she worked part-time as Claire's assistant back in 2018. Claire. Evelyn said over the phone, her voice sharp. Is she back in town? No, I said carefully. I'm her husband. Or I was. She left. Took everything. There was a pause. I'm not surprised, Evelyn said finally. She did the same to her last partner. What do you mean? She was engaged before you. Guy named Adrian. Nice guy. She drained his business, flipped a property in his name, then ghosted him before the wedding. Everyone thought he had a nervous breakdown. I couldn't breathe. Claire had done this before. I wasn't the first. And somehow, I'd missed every sign. I met Adrian 3 days later. He was thinner than me, with prematurely gray hair and a voice that cracked when he spoke of her. She knew exactly what to say, he said, sipping coffee in a tiny bookstore cafe. Made you feel like you were building a life together. But she was building her exit the whole time. He showed me an old photo of them. Her smile was the same, radiant, rehearsed. She looked happy, and I hated how familiar it felt. She cleaned me out, he said. Real estate. Stocks. Even my dog. Took my Labrador and claimed I was abusive. I couldn't afford to fight back. I moved to Bend just to start over. She forged my signature, I said. He nodded. She did the same to me. You want advice? Anything. He leaned in. You'll never get everything back. But if you want justice, you'll have to get dirty. Andrea was livid when I told her about Adrian. She's a serial fraudster. She marries, robs, and vanishes. If we can prove a pattern, we might have a shot at criminal charges. But Claire had already covered her tracks. Her name was no longer on the county registry. The number she used for her lawyer? Disconnected. The lawyer himself, gone silent. Then, I got the message that changed everything. Unknown number. She's in Seattle. New name. New husband. Look for Elena Carter. I didn't know who was feeding me this trail of breadcrumbs, but at this point, I didn't care. I drove to Seattle the next morning. She was living in a glass high-rise downtown, under a new name, with a new man. I saw her in the lobby from across the street, hair dyed dark, sunglasses, designer coat. But it was her. Claire. Or Elena. Or whatever she was now. She looked untouched. As if our marriage, our home, everything she'd stolen was just a shadow she'd stepped over. I clenched the steering wheel so hard my knuckles ached. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I took photos. I found out her new husband's name, Thomas Carter. I tracked his LinkedIn, his business website. Real estate investor. Wealthy. Soft-spoken. Another target. Another fool. I sent everything to Andrea. We need to contact him, she said. Let him know who she really is. No, I said. Not yet. Because now I understood something deeper. Claire didn't just rob men of their property. She robbed them of their truth, their voice, their sense of reality. And the only way to stop her was to beat her at her own game. There's a point in every man's fall where he hits the bottom and stops breaking. I hit mine in a hotel room in Seattle, staring at a woman I used to call my wife, now smiling up at another man like she'd never shattered me. And for the first time in months, I smiled back, because this time, I wasn't going to let her vanish. This time, she was the one who wouldn't see it coming. I spent the next week building a case, not just legally, but psychologically. Andrea was nervous. You can't stalk her, Noah. You can't show up uninvited. If this goes to court and she flips it on you. She's done this before, I snapped. And she'll do it again. I'm not just trying to win my stuff back. I want to make sure no one else ends up like me. That night, I called Adrian. I want to set a trap, I said. He paused. What kind of trap? The kind she can't resist. Claire, or Elena Carter, as she now called herself, had married Thomas Carter, a venture capitalist known for luxury property flips. They hosted investor brunches, charity appearances, and real estate webinars under the brand name Carter Collective. I created a fake identity. Lucas Brandt, a silent investor looking for boutique architecture firms to partner with for luxury eco-retreats. Andrea helped me legalize the alias through her private network. Then I scheduled a meeting with Carter Collective under Lucas's name. I walked into their high-rise office in downtown Seattle wearing a custom-tailored suit, glasses, and a calm smile. And there she was, Claire. Her eyes flickered the moment she saw me. I couldn't tell if she recognized me, not at first. Her voice was smooth, professional. Mr. Brandt, thank you for making the trip. I'm Elena. This is my husband, Thomas. Thomas shook my hand. Kind man. Strong handshake. No clue the woman he married had a string of ruined lives in her wake. Claire kept stealing glances. And as I turned the charm up, she tilted her head, the way she always did when she smelled blood in the water. For the next month, I played the part. Dinners with the Carters. Investment proposals. Tours of potential properties. Thomas handled the numbers. Claire handled the charm. She leaned in closer each week. Her compliments more pointed. Her touches more frequent. I knew what she was doing. She was testing me. And I played along. Until one night, she asked if I'd stay behind after Thomas left a dinner meeting early. She sipped her wine, leaned back on the velvet booth cushion, and said, "You remind me of someone I used to know." I smiled. Is that a good thing? Her eyes glinted. Not for him. The next day, I sent a message to the unknown number that had been feeding me clues. She's close. One more push. They replied within minutes. Send Thomas the envelope. Inside the envelope was a flash drive. On it, voice recordings of Claire speaking to her sister about flipping husbands like houses. Scans of forged signatures from my case and Adrian's. A photo of her kissing another man, dated during her current marriage. I mailed it anonymously to Thomas Carter's office. Then I waited. 3 days passed. 4. On the 5th day, I received a message from an unknown number. It's done. That evening, news broke. Thomas Carter had filed for an emergency injunction on all Carter Collective funds and assets. Elena Carter, formerly Claire Reed, had been removed from the board. A quiet but unmistakable scandal rippled across Seattle's investment scene. And still, no one knew my name. Not yet. I met her again 2 weeks later, unannounced, in the parking lot of her lawyer's office. She froze when she saw me. You, she hissed. That's impossible. No, I said, stepping closer. What's impossible is how long you got away with it. Her mask slipped for the first time. The calm, controlled Claire shattered in seconds. You think you've won? You think ruining one marriage makes you some kind of hero? I'm not the hero, I said. I'm just the last man you'll ever steal from. She laughed, bitter, broken. You have no proof. Oh, but I do. And so does Thomas. And so will the next judge. I handed her the final card. It was a letter from Andrea, notifying her of our civil suit. Fraud, forgery, emotional distress, theft of marital assets, and conspiracy, now that multiple victims had stepped forward. For the first time. Claire looked scared. Later that week, Thomas contacted me. We met for coffee man to man. I didn't know, he said. I feel like such an idiot. You're not, I replied. You're just next in line. He offered to testify. So did Adrian. Evelyn. Even an old contractor who'd been stiffed by Claire years ago. Andrea was building a storm, and Claire couldn't run from this one. That night, as I stood alone on the balcony of Marcus's place, still technically homeless, still technically broke, I felt something shift. Not justice. Not yet. But something stronger. Power. For the first time since she left, I wasn't just reacting to what Claire had done to me. I was writing the next chapter. Courtrooms have a strange silence. Not the peaceful kind, the heavy, oxygen-thin kind, like right before a storm breaks. That was how it felt the first morning I faced Claire across the courtroom. She didn't look like the woman who once shared my toothbrush. She looked like someone dressed for war, sleek black blazer, blood-red lipstick, no ring on her finger. But I didn't come to beg. I didn't come to remember. I came to expose her. The civil suit had taken 6 months to build. Andrea was methodical, relentless, and brilliant. We compiled forged documents, financial inconsistencies, and the crown jewel statements from 3 other victims, including Adrian and Thomas. Claire's legal team had tried every tactic. Motion to dismiss? Denied. Countersuit for defamation? Denied. Attempt to block witness testimony? Denied again. The judge, an older woman with no patience for drama, allowed it all. She smelled manipulation like a shark smells blood. But Claire didn't crack. She sat tall, poised, and acted like the system still worked for her. Until Adrian took the stand. He described, in calm detail, how she had infiltrated his business, transferred funds under the guise of joint investment, then vanished before their wedding with everything. When Claire's lawyer cross-examined, Adrian never blinked. She told me I was weak, he said, voice flat. That if I couldn't protect my assets, I didn't deserve to keep them. A few gasps broke out in the courtroom. The judge banged her gavel. Next came Evelyn, her former assistant, who provided voice memos of Claire laughing about collecting husbands like handbags. Andrea played the clip aloud. They all want a pretty wife with taste and charm. They never ask what I want. So I take what I need and leave before they bore me. Claire's expression didn't change, but I saw the twitch in her jaw. Then it was my turn. I wasn't there to be a victim. I was there to be the final piece. Andrea guided me through every betrayal. The house, the quitclaim deed I never signed, the disappearing bank accounts, the anonymous texts, the setup in Seattle. Claire's lawyer tried to spin it. Isn't it true you posed under a false identity? That you stalked my client? I did what your client's past victims couldn't, I said calmly. I stopped her before she could do it again. Silence. The judge leaned forward. Mr. Reed, are you telling this court that you created a false identity not to harm, but to confirm a pattern of fraud? Yes, Your Honor. And it worked. She nodded slowly. Continue. Claire broke on day 3. Not in the courtroom, in the hallway. I was walking to the restroom during a recess when I heard footsteps behind me. I turned. She was standing there, no blazer now, just a black blouse and tight fists. You planned this, she hissed. No, I said. You planned this. Years ago. I just caught up. Her eyes burned into me. You're pathetic. Maybe. But I've still got my name, my dignity, and soon my house. Her voice dropped. You think this'll end me? No, I said. You ended you. The trial ended on a Wednesday. The judge's decision was swift and brutal. Claire Reed, a.k.a. Elena Carter, found guilty of multiple counts of fraud, forgery, and theft by deception. Ordered to return all marital assets to me, plus damages. Subject to criminal referral for further investigation. All aliases barred from use in future legal filings. When the gavel fell, Claire didn't cry. She just stood, adjusted her coat, and walked out of the courtroom with her head high, like someone who still believed she'd come out on top eventually. But this time, the world saw her for who she truly was. In the weeks that followed, her name trended for all the wrong reasons. Business magazines ran exposés. Her social media vanished overnight. Former associates severed ties. Thomas released a public statement denouncing her and pledging full cooperation with authorities. And me? I went home. Yes, home. Because 2 months later, the deed was returned to my name. The house she gutted? I rebuilt it room by room. Not just with furniture with meaning. I replaced the wedding photo with a canvas of ocean waves. Turned the master bedroom into a music room. Left one corner of the kitchen untouched, the drawer where I found her goodbye letter. A reminder, not of pain, but of how far I came back from it. Adrian visited once. We drank beer on the porch like old friends. Do you ever miss her? He asked. I thought about it. No, I said. But I miss who I thought she was. He nodded. That's the worst part, isn't it? Not anymore, I said. Now the worst part is over. Months had passed since the trial ended. The media moved on. The world spun forward. But something in me stayed still, like a clock whose hands were ticking, yet not going anywhere. I had my house back. My name. Even a quiet dignity in knowing I fought for the truth. But closure? That hadn't come. Not yet. It was a quiet Sunday morning when the envelope arrived. No return address. Just my name. Written in the same sharp, elegant cursive I'd stared at in a different letter, the day my world fell apart. I sat with it in my hands for almost an hour. Then I opened it. Noah, I never planned to write you again. But maybe part of me always knew I would. You didn't just expose me, you ended something I thought would last forever. My ability to escape without looking back. I've spent my life running from consequences. From people. From myself. But you didn't let me. And for that, I hate you. And maybe I thank you too. I was never the woman you thought I was. Not when we met, not when we married, not when I kissed you goodbye that morning. But you were always the man I knew could ruin me, not because you were vengeful, but because you were decent. I don't ask for forgiveness. I wouldn't even know what to do with it. But I wanted you to know. I watched from afar. I saw what you rebuilt. And I know now that the thing I left behind was the only thing I should have fought to keep. Claire. I read it once. Then again. Then I burned it. Not out of hatred, but because there was no space for her words in the life I was building now. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't grieving. I was moving forward. The weeks that followed were quiet, in the best way. I reopened my architecture firm. I started hiking again. I adopted a dog, Max, a golden retriever who never left my side. I painted the last untouched wall in my home. I chose ocean blue. I even went on a date. She was kind, clever, nothing like Claire. And that was exactly what I needed. One evening, Marcus and I sat on the back porch watching Max chase fireflies. He raised a beer and said, to starting over. I clinked mine against his. To finally letting go. And I meant it. I don't know where Claire is now. I don't need to. Some ghosts fade. Some stay in your shadow. But the ones you face, the ones you burn, they lose their power. She took everything from me once. And now? She doesn't own a single piece of me. Not even my anger. Not anymore.